Hello everyone, welcome back to Black Heaven, the extended demo. Let's go ahead and continue. You realize the unbearably chipper voice belonged to Elyse, your former dissection partner. Yeah, I am.
We're going over the material and immaterial systems of the body. We already covered circulatory, muscular, and waste. We're going to do the body's soul structure now.
Matrix.
Huh?
It's a matrix, not a structure. It's a collection of structures, both soul and body. That's a matrix. Not sure why you feel the need to correct her. After the long talk with Rue though, it just feels weird to use the wrong terms.
I guess you're right. Well, how about you walk us through that stuff then? You seem like you know what you're talking about.
You slowly pull the textbook out and toss the cover to the side, flipping through the pages until you get to the bookmark section. There's 5 soul anchors of the soul within the material body. Recite the key points from your hours-long study session with Rue in monotone. At this point, most of the terminology and concepts are burned into your head from so much repetition. As you talk, you notice your classmates feverishly taking notes and filling out a little green workbook. Close your eyes halfway through the recitation, and when you're done, you open them to find that everyone is staring at you. What?
I think we're all just wondering what happened to you. You look like you're barely alive.
You look around at the rest of the group and shrug. You don't have the energy to explain the whole story. Up until 4 a.m. Ran a mile in the morning, walked through a freezing river, had to run back here in the cold.
Wait a second, you're the naked guy who was running across campus with Izaki Ito this morning?
I wasn't naked, I was still wearing underwear. Everyone else at the table burst into laughter. You look around groggily at them. You're not sure if they're laughing at you or in sheer incredulity. Can we please just get through whatever it is we have to go to? The laughter dies down, but everyone at the table is still whispering to one another. Ignore them and look down at the textbook. What else do we have to cover?
Well, since you basically did all our work for us when it comes to the body-soul matrix, why don't you tell us about the skeletal system?
I'm not gonna do all the work for you guys. The other girls at the table start giggling again and whispering. One of them slides her notebook towards you. She wanted the 5th anchor for the soul, the one associated with the primary sex organ. Before she can formulate her question, she and her friend burst into laughter. You grimace and push the notebook back. I'm going to work alone. You stand up and sit down at an empty table, then start working through your slim workbook. Behind you can hear the people at the table talking about you. They don't say your name, but you know who the he's and hims are. When it's time to turn in the workbooks, you've already finished yours in the haze. Some of it was on material you missed today. Rue's crash course on the interlinked nature of the body and soul seemed like it covered the major points. You're too exhausted to feel a sense of accomplishment at overcoming the assignment by yourself, so in class hands you just head to your housing. On the way, however, you realize it might be a good idea to get something hot to drink. You take a detour to the cafeteria. You join the line for ordering and start counting out coins. That's when you hear someone walk up behind you, then a familiar voice.
Well, hello again, Uzo. Fancy seeing you here. Do you think this is fate?
You turn around and try your best to look as terrible as you feel. No, I think you followed me.
What? No, I'm not that desperate. What are you waiting in line for?
Something hot to drink.
Oh, me too. And that gives me an idea. How about I buy you your drink, and you tell me the whole story about your half-naked run?
No, you don't have a lot of money. But is your dignity really worth a hot drink? Your weakened body says yes, and your half-functioning mind says maybe. Only if you get me some soup too.
Done.
A few minutes later, you find yourself sitting at a round table next to Elyse. You blow on your soup and suck some from a spoon, but still too hot.
Did you ever study artificial vessels before you came here?
What? No, why?
You knew a lot about the whole body-soul thing. It seemed like it was a familiar topic for you.
No, I just learned about it recently. My tutor, Rue, she basically gave me the whole rundown last night.
The whole rundown? It's not the kind of thing you just pick up in one night.
Yeah, well, it took until 4 in the morning.
I see.
Elyse puts out a silver flask and takes a swig. You slurp your soup noisily, then really start tipping the bowl down your throat.
So, about this running thing.
It was on purpose, and I wasn't naked.
Let's start from the beginning.
You recount your long tutoring session with Rue, your excruciating time in martial arts class, and your run with Izagi to the river. Explain how she ran across the rocks, but leave out the part about challenging you to return back. Finish up with you collapsing in front of the stove back in the dojo.
So you're trying to keep up with Ito, and basically messed up and had to run back here shirtless, in the cold.
Yeah, stupid, I know.
It's brilliant. I think it makes for a great story.
If you say so.
Did you get any frostbite? Do you still have all your fingers and toes?
Elyse grabs your left hand and inspects your fingertips. There's no trace of any black frozen flesh. No frostbites, but I felt like I was going to die. It's funny though, as soon as I walked out to the river, I felt like I couldn't feel any worse than I did right then. I didn't think I'd be able to walk, let alone run. But I just closed my eyes, lowered my head, and kind of slogged through it. It was like I was in a trance. I still feel awful. I'm kind of proud that I could get back here alive.
What kept you going? Was there someone you were thinking about?
Hey, it's not like that. Instead, your soup bowl, now mostly empty. I knew I had to get back here. Couldn't miss classes, fail out of the academy. I mean, my whole life up to now has been pointless.
I'm guessing you take the whole school thing pretty seriously.
That's all I got. If I fail here, then it's back to being a scribe or something in the warehouse. This is my chance to make something of myself. Once I'm immortal, I'll have forever to do what I want with my life.
You know that most people die before they become immortal, right? Even students here.
I'm not going to be one of them. Elyse holds up her palms and smiles, as if to say, okay, okay. You look over at her and take a drink from your cup. What's your plan here to study? Physical augmentation?
What, so I can be like Izagi Ito? No, I'm studying artificial vessels.
And why do you know so much about surgery and anatomy? Isn't the whole point of a vessel that you don't have to worry about organs and flesh and stuff?
Only people understand the flesh have knowledge to escape it. Besides, I want to make it to that point. I don't want my liver to fail before I can ditch it.
Elyse begins to stand up from the table and brushes off her jacket sleeves.
Anyway, thanks for our story time. It was a blast. I'll see you in class.
Wait a second. Elyse stops.
What?
Are you gonna spread that story about me running across campus?
Well, everyone's already talking about it. I was just getting the official story.
But you're gonna tell more people about me, aren't you? I can tell you like to talk. Elyse sits back down, tips her head from side to side, as she's deciding whether or not to agree with you.
If you're worried about me bad-mouthing you, you don't need to.
I just prefer people didn't talk about me.
Like I said, that boat has sailed. They're already talking about you. I'm just gonna tell them the truth. Plus or minus some little details.
Like what?
Well, you ever heard the saying, "It's so cold my nipples could cut glass"? I was thinking of adding that in. Just a little artistic license. Spice it up.
You stare hard at Elyse. Whose brilliant smile never wavers. You drag your eyes away from her in sight. Let's make another deal. You tell people the real story, no embellishments. In turn, you can buy me another bowl of soup.
We never made a deal for your story. I just bought you soup.
That's for me telling you the real story, not the right to tell other people. It's like printing someone else's autobiography.
I'm not made of soup money.
I told you stuff no one else knows, apart from Mizaki. I know she won't talk about it, because she's not a gossip. If people mention the same details I told you, I'll know who told them.
And then what? You gonna hunt me down?
I'll think of something. I can be creative. Lee sticks out her tongue and holds it between her teeth, then narrows her eyes.
Bullshit. You're not the sadistic type.
You wanna bet? You don't know what you'd do if Lee spread lies about you, or you're hoping being vague is enough to keep her from going overboard. You stare at her with your deadest looking eyes, trying to convince her you're intimidating, not bone tired.
Fine, I'll keep the artistic license to minimum, but once it comes out of my mouth, I'm not responsible for what other people say.
She tosses you 6 small coins, which clink on the wooden table.
Enjoy your soup, Lizzo.
When you emerge from the memory, you find yourself back in the pitch darkness of the underground. Terror cuts through your chest as you realize your lantern has gone out and you don't know where you are. You fumble in the dark with your matches, trying to light your lamp again. Around you, there's the only cold dark and the dull roar of emptiness. Finally, the lantern sparks back to life. You look around to find the broken, ruined towers of Luzula looming over you. The warm glow of your memories fades, leaving you alone again. Shuttered, decaying shops and mansions stretch up and down the street. Piles of broken furniture litter the ground around you. You peer up and down the street, casting your lantern's light around to get your bearings. You spot a familiar building ahead, the Bank of Gizarin. That means you're getting close to the staircase out of the underground. You take a step forward and feel something beneath your boot. You kneel down to pick up a tarnished silver necklace, and let it drop to the ground again. You're standing amidst the wreckage of 1,000 lives. Maybe 10,000. This is all it adds up to, you think bitterly. Dust and trash. All the warmth fades, and so do the people. That's all that's left are the memories. Finally comes the giant arch that makes the entrance of the grand staircase. Broken down carts and wagons, piles of garbage, scared pieces of clothing are gathered around it. You start to climb over it all to get to the stairs. As you pass under the arch and begin climbing the steps, you run your hand along the right hand wall and close your eyes again. You're already exhausted. You can't stop and rest yet. You can't shake the feeling that something is following you. You've operated on a little sleep before, especially down here. That doesn't stop making it miserable. You used to stay awake for 48 hours straight when you were studying for your entry exams for Eton. Even once you got in, you found yourself studying for 8 to 10 hours at a time. You lived your life according to clocks, hoping that every hour of study kept you from falling behind your peers. There's something comforting about being able to measure out your life in hours. Everything was orderly. It's unlike clocks in each one of the dorm rooms. They're small, intricate little devices designed to wake you up in the mornings. Clocks became part of your life. You had never grown up like one. Grown up with one. You grew up in 6 different homes scattered across the city of Senkaku. 6 different foster families. Each time you moved, you tried to start over with a renewed twist on yourself. Wanted to leave the old you behind. But every time you found yourself slipping back into your old self. Finally, when you began your apprenticeship as a scholar, you stopped trying to reinvent yourself. You decided to be who you were, regardless of what people thought of you. And immediately, you found yourself alone, without the facade to smooth things over. People began to avoid you. Those days spent in your master's library, study weren't lonely though. They were peaceful. They were all filled with clocks. The solitary life of scholar suited you, and eventually you begin to think you didn't need people anymore. When you came to Iton, you realized how much you were deluding yourself. You find yourself sitting in Rue's office again, listening to another lecture.
So the most important thing to know about, the most vital thing about the body, is to know that each part of the body, each part acts like a microcosm of our lives. Parts of our flesh are born, they have children, grow old, and they die. Not literally, of course, but close. Anyway, once the body reaches a certain age, it begins a process of decay called, senescence. At first glance, it seems like that everything falls victim to senescence. What's interesting is that not all creatures experience it.
As Rue goes into detail about the life cycles of animals and humans, you make notes at a small writing desk. Rue's office isn't huge. It's large enough to fit a chalkboard, her desk, bookcases, your desk, and the large knitted sack you're sitting in. The sack seems to be filled with beans or rice. It's quite comfortable, but strange to sit in. The whole office smells like rue, sweet incense, old books, the faint scent of mint too. Seeing in the sack, you're almost overwhelmed by it. Suddenly, Rue turns to you with bright eyes.
Have you ever seen a lobster?
No, not a real life one. I mean, a real one in real life. Rue smiles as you stumble over your words, waiting patiently as you figure out what you're trying to say.
Honestly, they're disgusting up close, but in theory, they're fascinating.
She begins to sketch the outline of a lobster on a chalkboard, starting with carapace.
They can live for hundreds of years and grow to huge sizes, and because they shed their shells.
You watch Rue's chalk jump from her lobster sketch to her earlier sketches of the life cycle, fleshing out the diagrams. It's interesting to watch Rue's mind spread out across the board. It's like watching someone knitting a sweater from 3 different angles. She writes notes on her diagram. The quiet clicking of the chalk and the silence of the room sinks into her mind. The warmth, the smell of the books, the rhythmic tapping, evokes a deep sense of peace in your mind. Your gaze falls on the pile of plants on the windowsill. It's almost completely black and shriveled with dried up leaves.
So even though it can live forever, it doesn't throw the rest of the ecosystem off balance. Does that make sense?
Rue turns to you and bites her lip, looking for some sign that she hasn't been rambling. You nod, looking down at your meticulously detailed notes. It all fits together like the pieces of a puzzle. All of that makes sense. Avoiding senescence doesn't necessarily violate the natural order of life, because immortality is part of it.
Exactly.
Rue looks over her chalkboard, seemingly searching for anything she's missed. Hey, Rue. Rue turns around, her eyes wide and attentive. You can tell she's expecting a question.
Yes?
What kind of plant is that?
That's
Rue stops in mid-sentence and begins to squirm a little, looking uncomfortably at the plant.
It's a white Methusa. It's supposed to be one of the hardiest plants in the world. It needs almost no water or sunlight. In fact, it can thrive in almost any environment, given a chance. Unfortunately, I still managed to kill it.
How did you do that? Rue takes a deep breath and straightens her jacket as if coming to terms with what she's about to say.
I never watered it. I did at the beginning, but then I forgot to do it.
But if it can thrive in a desert or something...
I didn't water it for about 4 years.
Oh. Rue stares at nothing for a while, lost in thought. Finally, she seems to realize that you're still looking at her.
Anyway, that should wrap up today's lesson. I hope it was, that was helpful. Let me know if there's any coursework you need my help with.
You flip through your notes from your other classes, looking for the little question marks you left. I did have one question. Rue walks over to her desk and stands next to you, looking down at the page. However, the desk is too low for her to get the good look, so she leans down, propping herself up on the desk with one hand. As she does, you can feel her jacket brush against your arm, as well as her warmth. She smells like ink, and that faint mint smell.
So, you're having trouble with some functions and series. It's important for regeneration, to gauge growth.
Yeah, I don't understand how it's supposed to work. I can do it one step at a time, but it takes forever.
Well, it's easy once you learn, recognize some of the patterns.
Rue kneels down next to you and takes your stylus. It turns to a blank page. Her face is close to yours, but her eyes are focused on the page. You watch as she writes out the mathematical formula for some equation, one that ranges from 0 to infinity.
Hold on just a second.
She stands up and shrugs off her jacket, revealing the long-sleeved black shirt and vest underneath. She tosses the jacket on her desk and kneels down again. When she does, her hair brushes against you for a moment as her head lowers itself into place.
Oh, sorry, this is a little cramped, isn't it?
It's alright.
Here.
Rue stands up and walks to the opposite side of her desk, facing you, then spins her notebook around. She starts drawing out a grid, the Y and X axis. While your hand glides across the page, you steal a glance at her face. It's laser focused, but almost serene, as if writing on this page is like entering a familiar world.
I was bad at mathematics until I realized that most of it is intuitive. See, look at it like this.
Rue draws the third axis, sticking out the meeting pace of X and Y.
Think about a lobster. How long it is, how wide it is. If you could see it suspended in the air and speed up its whole life, you'd see it growing along these axes. But all the while, you'd be moving along this axis, time.
For the next 20 minutes, it all begins to fall into place. 3 dimensions, graphs, growth, it's all abstract labels for something simple. Life. This is what life looks like when but written out to paper. Rue beams and puts down the stylus.
Exactly.
She clenches her fists and shakes them excitedly up and down.
You're getting into it. You really understand it.
You look up at Rue and grin. Can I do another one? Can I try a different sum equation?
Yes, of course you can. Let me just find my book of formulae.
Rue jumps to her feet and strides over to the door behind her desk, pulling it open and heading inside. Push back the desk and stand up from the sack, stretching your legs and reveling in your newfound mathematical acuity. Step over to the chalkboard and then look to the door Rue disappeared into. You walk to the threshold and peer inside. For a moment, you glimpse the interior of the room, awash in an ocean of papers and books scattered across the floor. Trays of melted candles pepper the room, and anatomy diagrams paper the walls. Rooms are shuttered, leaving the whole place shrouded in darkness.
Oh!
Suddenly Rue appears at the door holding a book in the crook of her arms. She steps over the door jamb and nearly runs into you. When she raises her face, her nose is inches away from yours. Her eyes widen and she realizes what you are doing. She hurriedly snakes one arm behind her and shuts the door behind her back.
Sorry, it's a bit messy in there. I haven't had a chance to tidy up since the beginning of the year.
Given the half second you were able to look at this room, the amount of clutter seems like it took months or even years to accumulate. Rue stares back at you, stiff and wide-eyed, her face still close to yours. She seems to be waiting for you to say something. No worries, I'm a messy person too. You head back to the desk and take your seat in the sack, and watch Rue flip through her book.
Let's start with this one, the basic.
Rue stops for a moment and her eyes dart to you. She looks back down at the book and sets it on her desk.
As she does, you think you see her thumb flip a sheet of pages to the other side of the book. Try this one. You start to work on the formula on the new sheet of paper, feeling the shape of it unfold in your mind. It's different from the ones you've been working on, but you can guess what some of it means. Rue, meanwhile, watches from a kneeling position on the other side of the desk, her chin resting on her crooked finger. Her eyes move back and forth between you and the paper. The first time you feel some pressure, as if she's testing you. When you're finished, she turns the notebook around and looks over your work. A sly smile spreads across Rue's face. Do you know what you did?
I just did the formula in the book. It took a bit longer than I expected. Did I do it right?
You did it correctly, but this formula isn't from your course. It's from my research notes.
So, what does that mean?
You just modeled the bone growth of a human adult from 18 to 25. Since 22 years ahead you can't, well, they had the trouble with this. It seems like you're natural.
You're struck with disbelief. You look back through your pages of notes with new eyes. You can begin to see the patterns weaving through them. You feel a shiver of excitement as you realize that all it takes is a little effort to put it all together. Paired with the rush of discovery, however, is a wave of relief as you realize that you're not over your head here. You can do this. You can learn this stuff. Even it seems hard at first. All you need is a little help. A new mindset. You stand up from your desk, barely able to contain your grin. Rue beams back, trying to bite back her excitement. She reaches out to pat your shoulder, but hesitates before her hand touches you. She retracts it and offers a handshake.
Well done!
You grasp her hand and shake it gently, her palm is soft and dusty from the chalk. I can't take all the credit. Have a great teacher. Rue locks eyes with you. Her face only grows serious and a little melancholy. Her hand slips from yours. Her smile is still there, though.
Thanks, Cecil.
Later that day in the training dojo, you rush over your cerebral breakthrough lost some of its luster. As cross-legged on the hard floor, you're reminded that not all challenges could be overcome by thinking through them. Some of them require your body. Once again, you're paired with Izagi. As soon as opening remarks from the instructor are over, she strides over to you.
You're going to learn the basic stance today. The twisting tree.
She doesn't waste any time, does she?
Now show me your natural stance. The one you'd use in the fight.
Uncertainly, you spread your legs apart and crouch down a bit, guarding your face with your clenched fists. Izagi stares at you and takes a deep breath.
Walk toward me.
You awkwardly shuffle toward her, trying to keep your stance in place. In 2 steps, Izagi crosses the gap between you and fires a punch before you can react. Her knuckles stop just short of your cheek.
Deep stances limit your mobility. I'm going to teach you how to stand correctly.
Izagi takes a few steps back and stands in front of you, then drops her hands to her sides. She raises them to hip level, cocking her elbows back. She crouches down with both feet facing forward, and points both her feet outward at a 45-degree angle. Finally, she lifts her heels and swings them outwards, so her toes are now pointed inward. It's a strange, awkward-looking stance, and that seems even less mobile than what you were doing.
Do as I do.
You try your best to make her stance, but you feel like you're barely able to stand comfortably. Izagi breaks out of her stance and walks around you in a circle.
Neck straight up, not forward.
Feel her hands firmly move your head back.
Forearms parallel to the ground.
Her fingers lift your arms up.
Bend your legs more.
Crouch down lower until your thighs begin to burn.
Most important, your pelvis should be tilted forward just a little, so your stomach isn't bending to end on itself.
You thrust your hips forward a few inches, but it feels like your buttocks are tucked up in your body.
There. Now, keep one foot rooted and turn the other foot outward so it's parallel with your first foot.
You twist your body to the left and find your body unwinding itself from an awkward stance into a natural one. You feel Izagi behind you, your hands on your shoulders shifting your weight onto your right back foot. Next, your hands twist your hips so they face forward, not to the side. Her touch is confident, firm but gentle, as if she were sculpting clay. She uses just enough force to move you. You feel yourself wobble a little as you try to center your weight and align your body. It feels like walking on a tightrope. Now, you feel Izagi push your left hip firmly, and you almost tumble over.
You're too stiff. You have to stop trying to hold yourself up, just find your center.
You try again to take up the stance, but you realize you're pretty much balancing everything on your back foot. You shift your weight to the other foot so it's more equal. Izagi is already kneeling down, lifting your leg.
The front leg should only barely touch the ground. 90% of your weight is on your back leg.
But how am I supposed to balance on one leg? Izagi stands in front of you and adopts the same stance, but infinitely more graceful in 1,000 subtle ways.
Push me.
You walk over and shove her shoulder, but she rolls it back and keeps her balance. Immediately, she steps forward and delivers a chain that punches your chest, light but sharp, never losing your balance.
Do it like I do. Watch me.
You stand there, feeling clumsy and oafish, as Izagi moves in straight lines, stepping forward and then holding your stance. As you watch, you begin to notice the geometry in her body, the angles of her legs, the straightness of her back. You also notice the glistening sweat on her neck, the steady rising and falling of her chest, and the slow, smooth inhales and exhales. Finally, she stops in front of you, still in her stance. She nods for you to take your stance too. You try your best to balance on your back leg, keep your body held the way she showed you. As you're adjusting yourself, you feel something click. Your weight feels like it's spread evenly, and your back leg feels stable. Izagi takes a deep step closer, so her knee is touching yours and both her hands are nearly touching each other's chests. You hold yourself there, staring back at her, feeling the sweat collecting on her spine. You knew just standing a certain way could be so difficult, but it feels like you're getting the hang of it. Izagi's eyes bore into yours, and run down your chest, your legs, all the way to your foot. Finally, they return to your gaze.
Do you know why we fight on one foot?
No, why?
So our opponents can't do this.
Izagi twists her body, shifting your knee into yours, effortlessly forcing your leg outwards. You immediately collapse. As you get back on your feet, Izagi stands over you, looking bored.
You spend your whole life indoors. You're not used to your body. You're going to have to change that. Let's work on your breathing. It's annoying, but it's easier to grasp than this.
Izagi stands in front of you, her hands at her sides and her feet slightly apart. She closes her eyes and takes a deep breath. As she inhales, her hands rise up, as if raising cups of water, then turn palm down as she exhales. You watch her chest rise under her uniform, her cage swelling until it seems like she's a balloon. Then she deflates, slowly, calmly. She opens her eyes and looks at you, the fierceness still in her eyes.
Now you.
You try to breathe in deeply, but as soon as you reach your peak, you let it all rapidly drain from your nose. You watch Izagi grimace and shake her head.
No, like this.
She demonstrates again, and you try once more to suck in air. This time you hold it in and painfully, slowly let it trickle out.
No, you don't force it. You just breathe naturally.
I am breathing naturally right now. I'm going to take deep breaths, and I'm not going to stop and suck in air during a fight.
It's not about taking deep breaths, it's about learning to control your breathing.
Izagi looks around the dojo at the other pairs training,
He grabs your wrist and leads you over to the leather bag around the wall. Punch this as hard as you can, as fast as you can. You square up with the bag and take a deep breath. Start throwing punches one after another. At first, it was good to let loose like this and empty yourself of frustration of training with Izagi. After a while though, your breathing gets shallower and your arms start to shake. You start trying to hold your breath and only sucking air between punches, but soon you feel like you're suffocating. Finally, your arms drop and you double over, your hands on your knees. You're gasping for air and sweat pours down your face. You stand up again, you find Izagi looking approvingly at you with folded arms. You lasted longer than expected, but it was still only about a minute. Fighting puts more strain on the body than anything else, and so that's when you see how strong you really are. And when you're fighting, the most important thing is breathing. If you no air in your lungs, your body has no power, so you have to work on strengthening your lungs. When you finally catch your breath, close your eyes and inhale deeply through your mouth and out through your nose. Oh, very important. You should be relaxed as possible when you're doing this, so relax. You smile bitterly. You can't choose to be relaxed, and you certainly can't do it around Izagi. Still, you try to think of relaxing things. Sunny days, quiet streams, all of that. Feel Izagi's hands gently press your shoulders down, so they don't rise at your inhales. As your mind wanders, you find yourself thinking about libraries. How quiet they are, how peaceful. You used to spend hours sitting at tables with a stack of books, watching the shadows on the windows grow. Feel Izagi's hands pressing your back and stomach, lightly applying pressure as you breathe in. The force of your breath forces your hands away easily. Now open your eyes and keep that rhythm. You open your eyes and find Izagi standing next to you, her hands still on your chest and back. You can smell the sweat on her clothing and feel her breath tickling your neck. Breathe in and out easily, your mind empty except for the presence of Izagi and the calming rhythm of your breaths. There, that's it. Nice and easy. Izagi takes your hands away from you and takes the stance she showed you before. Try the stance again, by breathing like that. You do as she says, lowering yourself to the stance and balancing your weight. As you breathe in and out, you feel the rhythm throwing you slightly off balance. You crouch lower, straighten your back, and suddenly you feel like you sat down on a stool. You take a few deep breaths. Feels like your chest could expand forever. There, that's solid. Izagi walks over to you and pushes your shoulder roughly, but you let your shoulder swing back so as not to upset your balance. Throw a punch. You throw a straight punch and exhale as you do. It feels normal, easy. Izagi kicks her front shin, like swings out with a blow, then returns to its spot on the floor. You stand up and let the stress off your back leg. You keep sucking in deep, full breaths and letting them out, smiling. This feels good. Really good. All I have to do is relax and it'll start to make sense. Izagi smiles at you, clenches her fist, and bravely strikes you in the sternum with the heel of her hand. That'll do for now. You enter anatomy class with a thin patina of sweat still covering your body, that cools quickly after you take your seat and settle on to lecture. You glance around and spot Elyse at the back of the class, doodling in a notebook with a bored expression. The instructor stands up and starts to draw a human skull on the chalkboard. Even after the soul has left the body, it retains some ties to it, which allow for the indirect manipulation of the soul. Who can give me an example? Let me see. Uzo. You look up from your notes and gaze at the skull on the board. Almost immediately, a thought springs into your head. Well, they're skull lanterns. Morbid example, but yes.
Would you like to explain, Uzo?
Sure. So when you have a skull, you can inscribe a spell on the dome and light a candle inside of it. Then you can talk to the skull and ask it to show you memories from its life. They'll show up as shadows on the wall.
Very good.
And for a more common example. You settle back in your seat, happy with yourself for answering a surprise question, not making a fool of yourself. After a few minutes, something catches your eye. A bit of movement at the edge of your table. When you look over, you find a small origami deer crawling across the table. You pick it up, and immediately stops moving. When you unfold it, you find a note from Elyse. How did you know about skull lanterns? You write the blank space left on the note, trying not to attract too much attention. I used to work in the cemetery as a scribe. Some of the families kept them. You fold the deer again and sit up on the table. He immediately starts walking back to Elyse. Ah, that's kinda cute. A moment later, it returns with a new message. What do you do for fun? You think for a while, then write, I used to play cards a lot. On a whim, you draw a playing card, killing spades. When the deer returns, there's a new sentence, along with a drawing of a beer glass. Want to go drinking with me and some people at the class? Pause for moments before writing back. Can't remember the last time you were invited to something. Back home, you had a few friends, but they were more like acquaintances. You never went out with them. Apart from the lack of friends, you never had much money to begin with, so going out wasn't an option. You write back one word on a piece of paper. Sure. At the class, you pack up your books and head out of the classroom to catch up with Elyse. You find a knot of 6 people outside the door, speaking animatedly to another girl. She spots you and pulls you into the middle of the group, pounding you on the chest. And this is Uzo, Gravedigger. Right, Uzo? She looks up at you and gives a big smile. You feel a grin spread across her face, mostly against her will. Don't know what she's talking about, but her exuberance is infectious. You feel everyone else's eyes on you, waiting for a response. How do I say to that? Only when I don't want to get in trouble with the law. Lisa's friends chuckle at your joke, and she slaps on the shoulder, giggling to herself. Alright, no more waiting. Let's head out, squad. Lisa leads you to across the campus and out the academy grounds, in a street full of fancy shops. She makes a right turn down an alley and pulls open the door to an upscale tavern with a big glass window. A metal 7 cutout bull rooster hangs over the door, along with the name Cock and Bull. Follow Lisa's friend inside, letting the warm, cozy scented beer and smoke wash over you. Lisa slides into a bar stool and the rest of the group joins her, taking out the seats closest to her. By the time you get to the counter, you're seen near the end of the bar, watching everyone else ordering drinks. You order a cup of wine and rest both your elbows on the bar while the bartender pours the glasses. You always heard of the adventures and wild stories that came from spending time in bars like this. It's exciting to finally go to one, but once you sip your wine and settle in, you realize there's no way to join a heated conversation going on between your fellow students. One of the girls squeezes between you and the bar stool to your right to lean over the bar and get Lisa's attention. She doesn't seem to realize how close she is to you, but that it is dangerously close to her cup. You slip off your stool and sit down at a nearby table. You can still hear the conversation in perfect detail, just a few feet behind you. You sip your wine and flip through your notebook, looking over your notes from the day. As you delve into the conversation at the bar, however, you start to grate your teeth. It's all gossip and rumors about other students, mostly making fun of people. It's kind of empty, shallow bullshit that people spit out when they're trying to one-up each other. You feel your goodwill toward this little trip rapidly starting to dry up. It's a nice change of scenery, but if this was like to spend time in a bar, you're better off in your room. To hell with this. So as soon as I'm done with my cup, I'm getting out of here.
You take a big gulp of wine, but nearly choke it out when Elyse sits down across from you.
Hey, take it easy, Mr. Gravedirt. Gotta pace ourselves.
You swallow the wine and cough. I'm gonna head out soon anyway.
What? We just got here. You can't leave me here with them.
What are you talking about? These are your friends, aren't they? Elyse glances over at the bar and makes a sly grin, and shakes her head. She takes a sip of her own drink and sets it down, then looks over at you.
What kind of person are you anyway, Yuzo? What's your story?
You look back at Elyse, who's resting her hand on her chin, looking at you with her eyebrows raised.
Well?
Lean forward so the people at the bar can't hear. They don't seem to have noticed Elise's absence yet. I guess I don't have a high tolerance for pointless talking bullshit. I hate gossip, which you already know.
Uh-oh, sounds like Sun's been the target gossip bullshit.
Yeah, okay. I didn't come up from a lot of money. I get the feeling a lot of people at Sun look down on people like me.
Why's that?
Because I'm a nobody. Everyone else comes from prestige, famous family names.
I don't have any of that. Hasn't been a problem so far.
Well, wait, where are you from?
My family owns cattle. A lot of cattle. But still cattle. I'm the first one to go to an academy. I didn't really want to, but hey, it's fun. If you don't take yourself so seriously, you can get these silver spoons warm to you.
I don't want them to warm up to me. I don't like pompous and tall jackasses. I don't like acting like one.
For someone with an inferiority complex, you sure have a high opinion of yourself.
You have a strange smile and shrug, then look into your cup, which is now empty. You look up at Elyse, who wraps her fingers around your hand and turns it over.
It's fun to play the game, make a little gossip, do a little flirting, win people over to your side.
Elyse traces the lines on your palm with her thumb.
Even if you cut yourself off from the social scene, you're still in it. People will judge you, spread rumors about you. Why not strike first? Control how everyone sees you, stay and let other people decide.
Elyse points at the long line that cuts across the center of your palm.
You're a lonely, solitary person. You follow your own path, no matter how hard it gets.
She points at another shorter line.
You have a big chip on your shoulder. You have talent, but you want recognition too.
Finally, she traces two parallel lines below your fingers.
You've had a life marked by struggle and desperation. You don't trust people easily, and you're a pessimist and a cynic.
She lets go of your hand, and you look at the lines on your palm. You studied a bit of palmistry years ago, and what little you know the lines Elyse point to are all wrong. You nod slowly and flex your fingers. Let me see your hand. She stretches out her fingers, and you gingerly take her hand in your palm. Her touch is warm, and her fingers are long and lithe. Elyse watches you intently, like a cat. You look down at the lines under her palm and point at random ones. You're intelligent and talented. You don't have to work at it. You like to party anyway. You're the kind of person who surrounds themselves with people, but doesn't have many close friends. You like to read people, but you don't like to reveal much about yourself. You look at Elyse, and you're a good liar. Elyse sits there for a few seconds, smiling at you and saying nothing.
Oh, Mr. Gravedigger, you're fun.
You suppress a grin and pick up your cup before you remember it's empty. You sip the last drops and set down. Not a gravedigger. Just keep track of all the records for the cemetery.
That's a fun nickname, isn't it? A little dark, a little intimidating.
Elyse leans forwards, and you keep your eyes from glancing down her shirt.
We should have some fun with these people. She nods her head toward the people at the bar. You said you played cards. Are you good at poker?
It's been a long time since you played poker, but I still remember the rules pretty well. Decent enough.
They're going to be so tipsy they won't know if you're bluffing.
Elyse stands up and goes back to the bar. Almost instantly, everyone migrates to your table and pulls up chairs. Someone pulls out a deck of cards and starts dealing out hands. The guys become stone-faced and serious while the girls giggle and keep asking about the rules. You end up playing for pocket change, just not to buy a round of drinks. Elyse sits next to one of the more affluent seemed guys and always bets them in the amounts, barely challenging anyone. Eventually, everyone folds but you and the guy next to leaves. The light guy looks at you and raises. Elyse catches her eye with hers. She slightly nods her head, smiling all the while. You realize she has the perfect angle to see all his cards. I'll see you and raise you 10. The guy scoffs and drops a couple more coins on the table, then looks at you for a reaction. You smile faintly. The table has gone silent, waiting to see if it will back down. You reach for a 20 piece and drop it on your stack of coins, sighing heavily. These calls me gravedigger, but it looks like you're digging your own grave. The tables go ooh, and the guy stares at you hard, his jaw set. He calls your bet and motions for you to lay out your hand. You toss the cards on the table and lean back, trying to seem confident. It's a pair of sixes. The guy's shoulders drop and throws his cards down with disgust, revealing a 9 and a jack. The table erupts in cheers and Elyse leans across the table to wrap an arm around your neck. She whispers something in your ear.
You did it!
You stumble on one of the steps in the dark and brace yourself against the wall. You look around and find yourself back in the grand staircase of Lazula. You collapse against the wall and sit on the stairs with eyes closed, and just bucking as tears spill out. You kept these memories buried for such a long time, only touching parts of them. To go through them again, it's how to remember what kind of person you were, what you did and said. It's even worse to know it's over. All you can do is escape for a little while. Inevitably, you'll be back here again, in the ashes of your life. Alone. The only thing that keeps you going now is the promise that you can have it all back again. It's not over. You can still change what happened. Not in this reality, then another one. You swallow your tears and sit up, lifting your mask so you can wipe your face. It's not over. You emerge from the staircase after 6 hours of walking, and the road that greets you at the top is nearly as dark as the underground. Wind whips across your clothes as you step out of the stairs. Your goggles are fogged with dust. Through the dirty lenses, you can see Oops, my bad. You can see the twilight contours of land beyond. There used to be a sprawling, ramshackle shantytown surrounding the surface exit of the staircase, but all of it has disappeared under dunes of shifting black ash. 2 broken towers loom out of the ash, marking the old entrance to the settlements. You remember passing between them after you escaped from Itzon. Watch clouds of ash slowly roll across the sky over your head, while 20-foot dust devils churn over the horizon. The only light illuminating the land ahead is the lambent orange glow of the clouds, where embers still burn in the sky. This is what hell looks like. The first thing people did to comment the play from Itzon was wall up the academy and trap went inside. When the disease still slipped outside the walls, they tried burning down the school and all the students. Cleansing fire, they thought, would stop the plague. They didn't understand that the plague was hard enough to survive the flames. The ashes of the dead carried the infection on the wind. Scholars outside the school didn't know anything about Root's research, or that the disease's foundation was for long-dead white Medusa plants. They just kept walking up people and burning them,
burning corpses, burning everything in wider and wider circles around Itzon. Soon the entire continent was engulfed in flames. People fled behind the city walls to keep the infected out, but those just turned into necropolises. Here there were some places far up north they managed to call the plague, but everyone else saw it spread through young and old. Even archipelagos in distant countries, which were separated by oceans, found ash falling from their skies. The residents of this continent had resigned themselves to their fate and not lit a single fire. Maybe the world would have survived. Well, that's in the past. You tread across the scorched dustlands, pointing yourself in the direction of Itzon. Even years later, the path there is burned in your memory. The last time you came this way, you were fleeing for the underground, along with 10,000 other people. It was chaos. The desperation brought the worst out of people, including you. Remember lying to some of the militia outside Itzon, the ones who erected the walls to keep the plague contained. By that point, dozens of scholars had escaped ahead of rumors that the school was going to be immolated. Remember trying to convince the guards you were clean, and when they didn't believe you, you gouged on his eyes and ran. Outside the school, you lied about your area study to get a filter mask. And you lied about where you came from so people wouldn't know you were an Itzon scholar. At the back of your mind, all you wanted to do was get away from everyone, so you could crawl into a dark little niche and sleep. After being surrounded by so much insanity for 4 months, you wanted to sleep forever. Your footsteps stir up slow-moving clouds of ash. The scorching wind slams into you once again and again, trying to drive you south. A few years ago, there'd be trees, rivers, and towns between you and Itzon, and there was nothing but rolling, blackened dunes. After another 2 hours of walking, you sit down and hang your head. You need sleep. Find a leeward inside of an ash dune and lay down your sleeping bag. Then crawl inside and seal it. Flashes of infected bodies fill your mind, flickering a fire, in the blackness of sleep. And I think I will stop here because it looks like we're going to be a new section. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment what you think. Maybe which one's your favorite girl, or no eyes if you like him. And if you want to try this demo for yourselves, I will provide links down below in the description and the comments. And if you want to watch other visual novels, please check my channel down below. Anyways, thank you, and take care.